Every morning you open your eyes, something extraordinary happens. And yet most days, you don't even notice. Life, with all its chaos and imperfection, rushes by like a river you're too busy to stand beside, too distracted to truly see. In a world that teaches you to chase endlessly, more success, more recognition, more control, it's easy to forget that the very fact you are breathing today is itself a miracle stitched from countless acts of resilience, perseverance, and hope. You are not here by accident. You are the living testament to centuries of quiet strength, small acts of survival, and dreams whispered across generations. But in the noise of daily life, in the pressure to be faster, better, stronger, the miracle of existence slips through your fingers without a second thought. That's why today's journey matters. Together, we will walk through the forgotten truths Stoic philosophy has long guarded. Truths that will reconnect you to your own sacredness, anchor you in gratitude, and fortify your soul against the currents of modern restlessness. You will see how life's fragility magnifies its worth, how adversity reveals hidden strength, and how every small moment you often overlook carries the power to transform your entire existence. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed, disconnected, or simply tired of running after what never truly satisfies, stay with me. There is quiet strength waiting within you, and today, you will remember why you are already a miracle. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and share your own reflections below. Your story matters more than you know. 1. Life's fragility makes every moment more precious. There is a silent truth threading through every breath you take, a truth so easily forgotten in the rush of modern life. Nothing you have today is promised tomorrow. Life's fragility is not an idea reserved for poetry or philosophy. It is the fundamental law that governs every second of your existence. Yet, surrounded by convenience and noise, it becomes effortless to believe that the people you love, the comforts you enjoy, even your own strength and health will always be there. We walk through our days assuming we have time, plenty of time, until the day when time runs out without warning. Understanding life's fragility is not meant to darken your spirit. It is meant to wake you up to the immense beauty that exists precisely because it is fleeting. It reminds you that every ordinary morning holds extraordinary value simply because it will never come again. When you allow yourself to sit with this truth, not to fear it, but to absorb it, you begin to see the world differently. The Stoic philosophy about gratitude teaches that real strength comes not from controlling life's outcomes, but from appreciating the gift of being alive at all. A quiet dinner with your family, a conversation with a friend, even the solitary walk from your car to your front door under the evening sky, all become sacred once you realize they are not guaranteed. What seems mundane today may someday be the memory you would give anything to relive. A missed call you forgot to return, a hug you postponed until tomorrow, a simple goodbye you rushed through without looking back. When you grasp the fragile nature of existence, you begin to live with a reverence that most people spend a lifetime searching for, but rarely find. The danger of ignoring this reality is not just regret, it is the slow erosion of presence. You fall into mechanical living, waking up, working, scrolling, sleeping, without ever truly touching the miracle of your own life. Stoicism reminds us that awareness is the gateway to wisdom, and nothing demands more awareness than the fleeting nature of your days. If you knew you had only one more sunrise to witness, would you still sleepwalk through your morning? Would you still waste precious energy on resentment, worry, or things beyond your control? Or would you lean into the sheer wonder of being able to witness light breaking across the sky, to feel air filling your lungs, to hear the voice of someone you love, even just once more? There are moments that brand themselves onto your memory, not because they were planned or grand, but because they caught you off guard with their raw, unfiltered truth. You sit beside a hospital bed, holding a frail hand that once gripped yours so firmly. You stand at a gravesite, wondering how someone who filled so much space in your life could now be so achingly absent. You stare at an empty chair during dinner, feeling the echo of laughter that once filled the room. In those moments, the illusion of permanence shatters, and what's left behind is something infinitely more valuable than certainty. Gratitude for the miracle that was, and the miracle that still is. Applying this awareness daily is not a grand task. It is not reserved for moments of tragedy. It happens in the small choices you make each day. When you pause to truly taste your morning coffee instead of gulping it down between meetings. When you put your phone away to listen, really listen, to your child talk about their day. When you take a moment to stand outside, even in the rain, feeling the cold droplets on your skin and remembering that to feel anything at all is a blessing. These moments do not slow life down, but they deepen it. They root you in a kind of unshakable peace that does not depend on things going your way, but rather on your ability to cherish whatever way life unfolds. Stoic practices for stress management often center around control, learning what is within your power and what is not. But beneath that teaching is something even more essential, an invitation to fall in love with the rawness of life itself. Not the sanitized, idealized version of living we chase on screens and social media, but the messy, unpredictable, breathtakingly fragile experience of being human. You cannot prevent time from slipping through your fingers. You cannot guarantee that the people you love will always be there when you turn around. But you can choose, with conscious intention, to honor them while you still can. You can choose to live so fully, so attentively, that even if everything were to fall away tomorrow, you would not look back and feel that you had squandered the miracle entrusted to you. Life's fragility does not make it weaker. It makes it sacred. It reminds you that a single ordinary day, walking your dog, washing dishes, reading a book under a fading afternoon sun, is already a masterpiece in motion. When you start to see your life through this lens, you no longer wait for someday to feel grateful. You no longer need perfect conditions to celebrate existence. Every moment, no matter how simple, becomes a clear, shining thread woven into the vast tapestry of human resilience and hope. The truth is, you were never meant to be here forever, and that's what makes your time here meaningful beyond measure. Life is not a promise, it is a gift, fragile and fleeting and astonishingly beautiful. So live it awake, love fully, forgive quickly, hold the ones who matter a little closer, and walk through your days with eyes wide open. Because once you begin to recognize how fragile life truly is, you start to live not out of fear, but out of fierce, unwavering gratitude. And that changes everything. 2. Adversity reveals the miracle of inner strength. True strength does not reveal itself in times of ease, but rises, silent and undeniable, when everything you once depended on begins to crumble. It is easy to believe you are resilient when life flows smoothly, when the world answers your plans with obedience, when health, comfort, and familiar routines shield you from the harsher winds of existence. Yet real strength, the kind that Stoic philosophy venerates, the kind that roots itself deep into the marrow of who you are, emerges only when adversity strips away the illusions, when you are forced to stand alone with nothing but the quiet fire inside you. In moments of collapse, of unexpected loss, of doors slammed shut and paths disappearing into fog, you find out not who you hoped you were, but who you truly are. When life deals its sharpest blows, it is tempting to view them as punishments or signs of failure. Modern culture often whispers that happiness should be effortless, that discomfort is a mistake to be corrected, not a season to be endured. But the Stoics knew otherwise. They taught that adversity is not your enemy. It is the training ground for your character. The pain you experience when you lose what you thought you needed, when you watch long-held dreams disintegrate, when you are forced to rebuild from the ashes, is not a signal of defeat. It is life's way of forging something inside you that comfort could never create, an inner strength that is unshakable, humble, and deeply alive. Every man walking the earth today who carries quiet power, who moves through chaos with steady hands and clear eyes, was once broken open by life. Not shattered in a way that made him smaller, but in a way that forced his soul to expand, to grow wider, deeper, stronger. The miracle is not that you survive suffering. The miracle is what suffering pulls out of you. Hidden reserves of courage, resilience, and wisdom that you would have never touched had life remained soft and easy. Like a sword must face the fire to gain its sharpness. Like a muscle must strain under resistance to grow strong. Your spirit, too, must encounter hardship to reveal its true capacity. The truth is, you do not build emotional strength by merely reading about Stoic practices or by wishing for a peaceful life. You build it when your plans fall apart and you choose to rebuild anyway, when betrayal wounds you and you choose to trust again, when the weight of loneliness tries to crush your chest and you stand upright in your own silent dignity. These moments, brutal as they may feel, are sacred because they are the forge where the miracle of inner resilience is hammered into existence. They are proof that adversity is not life abandoning you. It is life inviting you into the deeper chambers of your own potential. There are people who have walked through fire, illness, financial ruin, heartbreak, loss of loved ones, and somehow come out with a gentleness in their gaze that did not exist before. There is a particular humility and groundedness in those who have been stripped bare and chose to love life even more fiercely afterward. They are not reckless optimists. They are people who have stared into the abyss, felt its cold breath, and realized that even there, especially there, they could summon meaning, purpose, and gratitude. They are living proof that strength is not always loud or aggressive. Sometimes it is simply the quiet refusal to give up, the simple act of getting up one more time than you fall. Applying this to your own life begins not by wishing adversity away, but by meeting it with the mindset of a Stoic. When trials come, instead of asking, "Why me?" you learn to ask, "What strength is being called out of me now?" Instead of shrinking back into bitterness or self-pity, you step forward with clarity, knowing that discomfort is not your enemy, but your silent teacher. You start to see each hardship not as an unfair interruption of your plans, but as a divine chiseling, a sacred shaping of the person you were meant to become. And as you move through each difficulty, not perfectly, not without fear, but with steady perseverance, you build an inner life that no external circumstance can destroy. This approach does not mean denying your pain. Stoicism is not emotional numbness, it is emotional mastery. It teaches you to feel sorrow without drowning in it, to acknowledge fear without surrendering to it, to carry disappointment without allowing it to rot your hope. It invites you to move through grief and anger and loss with the full weight of your humanity intact, yet guided always by reason, gratitude, and resilience. Each scar you accumulate along the way is not a blemish but a badge, a testament to the unbreakable parts of you, the parts that grew precisely because they were tested. Life's fragility, as we explored earlier, makes every moment precious, but it is adversity that gives those moments their full depth. Without challenge, appreciation remains shallow. Without struggle, gratitude remains theoretical. Adversity carves out the deeper wells within you from which true wisdom and compassion can flow. It reminds you that living fully is not about preserving comfort at all costs, but about embracing the beautiful, painful, miraculous unfolding of your soul through every season, light or dark. In the end, the miracle is not that you live a life without storms. The miracle is that within the storms, you discover you are far stronger, far wiser, and far more resilient than you ever believed possible. Your strength was never in avoiding hardship. It was always hidden quietly within you, waiting for the day you would need it most and daring you to uncover it. In facing adversity with open eyes and an open heart, you do not just survive, you are transformed into a living testament of the fierce, breathtaking miracle of human endurance. 3. You carry the dreams and courage of generations beneath your daily routines. Beneath every step you take and every breath you draw, there hums a silent legacy, a legacy of countless souls who came before you, who dreamed, who fought, who endured so that you could live the life you live today. It is easy to move through modern life believing you stand alone, an isolated figure shaped only by your own choices and efforts. Yet the truth runs deeper and pulses stronger. You are not here by your strength alone. You are the living extension of those who weathered storms you'll never have to face, who whispered hopes into the future they would never see, trusting that somehow, someday, you would inherit the ground they struggled to hold. The importance of recognizing this lineage is not about sentimentality. It is about awakening to a truth that binds you to something much larger than yourself. Life's fragility, which we explored before, becomes even more profound when you realize that your very existence is stitched together from thousands of fragile lives that somehow endured. The blood that moves through your veins, the resilience that anchors your heart, the spark of your consciousness, all of it is a culmination of sacrifices made by those who endured hardships you can scarcely imagine. They fought not just for survival, but for a future they hoped would be kinder, freer, more filled with opportunity. You are that future. And within you, their courage lives on. Throughout history, there have been men and women who tilled dry fields with cracked hands, who crossed oceans in boats barely fit for the journey, who hid in basements during wars, who stood in breadlines during depressions, who sang lullabies to children even when their own hearts were heavy with fear. They endured famine, sickness, persecution, and displacement. They loved fiercely and suffered quietly. They built homes from dust and dreams, stitched clothes from scraps, and taught themselves to read by candlelight when books were rare and forbidden. None of these acts was easy. Each one required immense strength and an unbreakable spirit of perseverance. And all of that silent, unseen courage flows directly into you. When Stoic philosophers spoke of resilience and gratitude, they were not speaking from the luxury of ease. They were speaking from lived experience in times of war, exile, political chaos, and personal loss. They understood that life, at its core, is a torch passed hand to hand across centuries, each bearer responsible not for perfect conditions but for carrying the flame with honor. In your moments of doubt, when the weight of modern expectations feels unbearable, remember this: you carry a strength within you that has already endured countless winters, wars, and storms. You are not starting from nothing. You are not standing on empty ground. You are standing on the shoulders of generations who refused to let the darkness swallow them. Connecting deeply to this truth reshapes the way you move through adversity today. When challenges arise, you can meet them not as isolated battles, but as part of a long tradition of perseverance. Every act of patience when you could snap, every choice to show kindness when it would be easier to turn away, every moment you choose to stay steady when fear tries to unravel you. These are not just personal victories. They are extensions of an ancient, sacred legacy. Your daily struggles, no matter how small they seem, are threads woven into a larger tapestry that stretches backward and forward beyond your view. Understanding that you carry the dreams and courage of generations also reignites a sense of purpose. Life becomes less about individual achievement and more about honoring those silent hands that made your existence possible. Their sacrifices call you not toward perfection, but toward living with integrity, toward resilience without bitterness, toward courage without cruelty. Stoic philosophy about gratitude reminds you that the true debt you owe is not material success, but the daily effort to live well, to embody the strength, humility, and perseverance that echo through your bloodline. There will be moments, inevitably, when you feel isolated, when setbacks and failures tempt you to believe you are alone in your struggle. It is in those moments you must remember, you were never alone. You were never meant to bear the journey unaided. The courage that lifted broken bodies from battlefields, that coaxed crops from dry earth, that found songs even in prisons, it beats quietly inside you, waiting to be called upon. You are the living answer to prayers whispered by people whose names you may never know, but whose hopes shaped the very breath you now take for granted. Living with this awareness changes how you view your responsibility. Each day you rise as another opportunity to honor the resilience you inherited, to move through the world with quiet strength, to light the path a little brighter for those who will come after you. Whether through small acts of kindness, moments of courage and difficulty, or simply the steadfast decision to keep moving forward even when the road feels steep, you are contributing to the unbroken chain. You are becoming the ancestor someone else will one day look back upon with gratitude. And when your own time here ends, as it must, because life is fleeting, what you leave behind will not be measured by titles or possessions. It will be measured by how you carried the dreams entrusted to you, by the strength you summoned in the unseen battles of your own life, by the way you nurtured the sacred fire passed down to you. Your courage today, your gratitude, your resilience, will ripple forward into lives you will never meet, continuing the miracle that began long before you were born. In every moment you choose honor over comfort, perseverance over resignation, love over fear. You breathe new life into the courage of those who came before. You make their sacrifices mean something enduring. And in doing so, you fulfill a sacred trust. You carry their dreams, and you carry them well. For the smallest moments are proof of life's miracle. It is tempting to believe that life's miracles are hidden only within grand achievements or rare, breathtaking events. Yet the deepest truths often reside in the quietest corners of our days, in the moments so ordinary that we pass through them half asleep, never realizing they are the very essence of being alive. The real miracle is not waiting for some future triumph. It is unfolding quietly in the smallest gestures, in the unseen details, in the heartbeat of daily life. When you slow down enough to notice, you find that existence itself, in its purest form, is already abundant with wonder. Modern life pushes you into a relentless forward motion, urging you to chase goals, accumulate milestones, and measure your days by visible results. In the pursuit of what's next, it is easy to overlook the extraordinary nature of what is happening right now. Stoic philosophy about gratitude teaches us to redirect our gaze, not toward what we lack, but toward what already fills our lives with silent richness. A ray of morning light slipping across the kitchen floor, the sound of rain tapping against the window, the soft laughter of someone you love floating through a quiet room. These are not background noises to a more important story. They are the story. They are life, whispering to you in every breath. I am here. I am yours. Notice me. You may think you need a grand reason to feel awe, a promotion, a breathtaking view, a rare victory. But true awe is born in the everyday moments you have been taught to dismiss. Drinking a cup of coffee, not out of habit but with full awareness, feeling its warmth in your hands, the aroma filling your senses, the simple pleasure of nourishment in the early stillness. Walking outside and feeling the air shift against your skin, sensing the subtle texture of the breeze, recognizing the miracle that you can feel anything at all. These experiences seem so small that they often escape your memory, yet when gathered, they form the foundation of a life truly lived with presence, appreciation, and silent strength. The power of gratitude daily lies not in waiting for extraordinary blessings, but in seeing ordinary life as already extraordinary. Stoicism invites you to stand still long enough to witness the present, to train your eyes to see the invisible abundance that most walk past. When you do, you discover that your life is not lacking in miracles. It is overflowing with them. They have simply been hiding in plain sight. A missed moment of connection, a sunset overlooked because you were too distracted, a hug rushed because you were thinking of the next task, each one a quiet offering from life that you can learn to receive more fully. Living with this awareness transforms how you experience time. Instead of life becoming a blur of indistinguishable days, each day regains its texture, its sacred weight. Even amidst the noise and busyness, you can create pockets of stillness, moments where you reconnect with the fragile miracle of simply being here. A glance between strangers that acknowledges shared humanity, the sound of your own footsteps on a quiet street, the steady beating of your heart, asking nothing of you but you're noticing. These are not small things. These are the threads from which meaning, resilience, and inner peace are woven. This is not to say that recognizing the miracle of small moments will shield you from hardship. Life remains unpredictable, and suffering touches every life at some point. But when you have cultivated the habit of seeing, when you have trained your mind to savor even the most fleeting graces, you are better equipped to endure the darker seasons. You learn to carry gratitude like a quiet flame through the storms. You build a resilience that is not loud or boastful, but steady and enduring, anchored not in denial of pain, but in a deeper love for the fleeting, fragile, fiercely beautiful reality of existence itself. There is no need to search far for proof that life is a miracle. It is there each time you wake and realize you have been gifted another morning. It is there in the ability to hear the laughter of a child, to feel the coolness of water against your skin, to taste the richness of simple food. Even sorrow, even longing, even the ache of missing someone you love, all are signs that you are alive, that your heart still beats with tenderness and memory. The Stoics knew that to live wisely was not to strip life of feeling, but to deepen one's reverence for it, to move through joy and suffering alike, with eyes open, grounded in appreciation for the astonishing gift of awareness. When you live this way, your priorities shift. Success is no longer measured solely by external achievements, but by the depth of your presence in each fleeting hour. A slow afternoon spent with a loved one becomes more valuable than 100 unchecked items on your to-do list. A quiet walk beneath a vast, starlit sky becomes more precious than accolades or possessions. By anchoring yourself in the smallest moments, you no longer live waiting for life to begin. You live knowing that it already has, that it is unfolding around you and within you every single day. The miracle of your life is not something you have to earn. It is not something distant that you must strive to reach. It is already here, stitched invisibly into every ordinary day you are lucky enough to witness. And once you begin to recognize it, once you teach yourself to stay awake to it, you will never again need to search for meaning outside yourself. You will find it waiting quietly in every sunrise, every kind word, every breath, every step. The smallest moments, when seen with clear eyes and a grateful heart, are not small at all. They are everything. 5. Awareness of death teaches deeper love for life. There is a silent companion that walks with you from the moment you are born, one that you are taught to ignore, to fear, or to keep at the very edge of your awareness. The certainty of death. Yet in pushing this reality away, in pretending you are immune to it, you lose something essential, not just an acceptance of your mortality, but the key to a deeper, fiercer love for life itself. Awareness of death, when approached with open eyes and a willing heart, does not darken your days. It illuminates them. It strips away the trivial, sharpens your appreciation, and awakens you to the breathtaking miracle of simply being here, even for a little while. Modern life often tempts you to live as if you had endless time, as if there will always be another sunrise, another apology, another chance to say, "I love you." But the Stoics, with their quiet and unsparing wisdom, insisted that we remember death daily, not to despair, but to truly live. Memento mori, they whispered. Remember, you must die. It was not a morbid chant. It was a call to urgency, to clarity, to gratitude. By facing the reality that life is fleeting, you are freed from the illusion that you can afford to waste it. Every moment becomes more vivid. Every connection becomes more precious. Every choice carries the weight it deserves. When you walk through your days without acknowledging their fragility, it becomes easy to postpone living. You tell yourself there will be a better time to call your parents, to forgive a friend, to take the trip, to pursue the dream that tugs quietly at your heart. You fall into the trap of someday thinking. Yet someday is a ghost, a horizon that retreats as you move toward it. There is only today, only this breath, only this chance to love, to give, to feel, to be. Death is the reminder that someday is not promised. It is the fierce, compassionate nudge that tells you, now matters more than you dare to believe. Grasping this truth changes not only how you live, but how you love. When you understand that the people around you are temporary gifts, not permanent fixtures, you hold them differently. You listen more fully. You forgive more readily. You cherish the small rituals, the goodbye kiss before work, the shared laughter over an inside joke, the quiet presence of someone sitting beside you on a tough day, because you know these moments are not endless. Their scarcity makes them sacred. Death, paradoxically, teaches you to love without holding back, to pour yourself into life, not cautiously, but with an open, courageous heart. The awareness of mortality also reframes how you face adversity. When you realize how short and precious your time is, petty grievances lose their hold. Arguments that once seemed worth winning suddenly seem trivial. Pride softens, resentments fall away. You begin to see that clinging to anger, to regret, to fear, wastes the limited days you are blessed to walk this earth. Stoic philosophy about emotional resilience reminds us that while you cannot control the length of your life, you can control the depth and dignity with which you live it. Death levels all hierarchies, strips away all pretense, and leaves behind only the essential. How well you loved, how bravely you lived, how deeply you appreciated the fleeting miracle entrusted to you. There's a profound strength in living with death as your silent advisor. It sharpens your priorities. It deepens your sense of gratitude. It urges you not to delay what matters most. It teaches you to live intentionally, to fill your days not with endless busyness, but with presence, with meaning, with connection. This is not a call to recklessness or despair. It is a call to attentiveness, to the kind of fierce, gentle courage that allows you to savor life more, not less, because you understand its impermanence. You do not need to stand on the edge of a grave to practice this awareness. It can be as simple as pausing each morning to remember that this day is a non-renewable gift. It can be as humbling as looking at the faces of those you love and reminding yourself that nothing in life is guaranteed, and because of that, everything should be cherished. It can be as grounding as ending each night with a quiet reflection. If I do not wake tomorrow, have I lived today with intention, with kindness, with courage? When you live with this depth of awareness, you walk through the world differently. You stop rushing past the miracle of existence. You linger longer over a beautiful sunset, not because you have time, but because you understand you may not always have the chance. You forgive more, not because it is easy, but because you know resentment is a chain that steals precious hours from a fleeting life. You speak your heart more freely, take more meaningful risks, and savor even the ordinary moments, because you understand that they are not ordinary at all. In the end, death is not the opposite of life. It is the frame that makes life's painting so precious. Knowing that your time is finite makes every second infinite in meaning. It challenges you to stop drifting, to stop postponing, to stop living half asleep. It calls you to be awake to your own existence, to treasure it, to guard it, to pour yourself into it without reservation. Death reminds you that you are a miracle, not because you are invincible, but because you are exquisitely, heartbreakingly, gloriously temporary. So let death not be a specter you flee from, but a quiet teacher you welcome. Let it sharpen your love, deepen your gratitude, and ignite your courage to live each day as if it were both the first and the last. Because one day, it will be. And on that day, may you look back not with regret for what was left unsaid or undone, but with a quiet, steadfast joy that you lived as fully and fiercely as the miracle of your existence deserved. 6. Your existence is the result of countless acts of resilience. Every breath you take, every step you make through this world, is built upon a foundation of resilience deeper and older than you can imagine. Your existence today is not a simple accident of nature or a casual unfolding of time. It is the direct outcome of generations who endured storms you will never see, who bent but did not break, who carried hope forward through wars, famines, losses, and desperate unknowns. It is easy to forget this in the comfort of modern life, where survival often seems given rather than earned. But forgetting it weakens your connection to one of the most powerful truths you can carry. You are here because resilience lives in your blood, your bones, your very breath. This truth matters because without it, you may falsely believe that your struggles are evidence of weakness, that hardship is a deviation from life's path rather than its very forge. In reality, you are part of an unbroken chain of souls who chose, again and again, to rise from defeat, to rebuild after devastation, to sing songs of hope even when the night was longest. You are the inheritor of courage, not recorded in history books, but embedded quietly in the daily endurance of ordinary lives. Every moment you persist through doubt, through exhaustion, through pain that no one else can see, you continue that sacred chain. You prove, once again, that resilience is not an exception to the human story. It is the story. Connecting to this understanding infuses your life with a new kind of strength. When you realize that your very existence is stitched from survival, gratitude becomes a natural response. The Stoic philosophy about perseverance reminds us that fortune and misfortune are but shifting winds. What matters is how we set our sails. Your ancestors set theirs with bare hands and tattered hope, through nights filled with fear and years of scarcity, believing in a dawn they might never see. They endured not because life promised them comfort, but because they carried something unbreakable within, a fire that refused to be extinguished. And now that fire burns in you. It is present when you show up for another long day of unseen effort, when you extend kindness in a harsh world, when you decide to build something meaningful out of circumstances you did not choose. It flickers in your quiet moments of doubt, urging you not to give up. It roars when you stand your ground, when you refuse to let despair define you, when you rise from yet another fall. You may think your life is small, but every act of persistence is an echo of centuries of bravery. Every act of hope you commit is a continuation of dreams whispered across generations. In practical terms, this understanding changes how you face your own challenges. When life tests you, and it will, you can draw strength not merely from personal ambition, but from a profound respect for the resilience you have inherited. Challenges become less about whether you will succeed easily and more about honoring those who endured before you by refusing to yield without dignity. Even when outcomes are uncertain, even when effort does not immediately yield reward, perseverance itself becomes a sacred act. Stoic practices for stress management remind us to anchor ourselves not to outcomes which are beyond our control, but to the steadfastness of our own character. You embody resilience when you navigate the heartbreak of relationships that end, when you find a way forward after dreams collapse, when you choose to love life again after loss has emptied you. You carry it when you accept failure without surrender, when you adapt without losing the core of who you are. Every scar you bear, every wrinkle etched by time and trial, every story you hold quietly within you is proof that resilience is not a lofty virtue reserved for heroes. It is the heartbeat of ordinary, extraordinary human beings like you. Sometimes you may wonder if your efforts matter, if the struggles you face quietly each day have any meaning in the larger arc of life. But remember this: survival itself is meaning. To endure, to heal, to stand again after heartbreak or humiliation, to choose to create beauty where ugliness once reigned. This is how the world changes, not in cataclysmic moments, but in the slow, stubborn refusal of countless souls to give up on themselves or each other. Your existence, hard-earned by generations who refuse to be erased by time, is the living proof that resilience always matters, even when unseen. When you walk through life with this awareness, every difficulty becomes a moment of connection rather than isolation. You do not suffer alone. You suffer alongside the millions who came before you and the millions who will follow. You become a participant in a sacred tradition that stretches back to the first hunter who survived the winter, to the first mother who cradled her sick child through the night, to the first worker who built something lasting with calloused hands. Their resilience is now your heritage, and your own resilience is a gift you will pass forward, whether you realize it or not. Living with this perspective transforms even your smallest daily actions. Rising early to meet your obligations with integrity, offering kindness when you feel drained, taking one more step when every part of you longs to quit. These are not trivial. They are how you honor the miracle of your existence. They are how you add your own quiet strength to the great chain of survival, perseverance, and hope. They are how you take your place among those who understood that while life is fragile, the human spirit, when nurtured with gratitude and courage, is anything but. In the end, you are not simply living your own story. You are continuing a legacy built from countless acts of unseen bravery. Each day you rise to meet life with resilience, you fulfill a debt to those who came before you and offer a gift to those who will come after. Your existence, far from being accidental or trivial, is the living testament to the unconquerable miracle of endurance. And every breath you take carries the weight, the beauty, and the silent triumph of that legacy forward. 7. Living intentionally honors the miracle you are. Every moment you breathe, every choice you make, carries within it the quiet echo of a deeper truth. You are a miracle, and how you live each day either honors or forgets that sacred reality. Living intentionally is not about grand declarations or perfect discipline. It is about awakening to the weight of your own existence and choosing, with quiet courage, to move through life with purpose instead of inertia. It is easy to be swept into the currents of routine, to let the days slip by unexamined, each one blending into the next until a whole season of your life has passed in a haze of distraction. But when you begin to live deliberately, when you meet each morning as an opportunity rather than an obligation, you reconnect to the breathtaking privilege of simply being alive. The importance of intentional living becomes undeniable when you realize how fragile and rare your existence truly is. Life's miracle is not owed to you, it is loaned to you, fleeting and irreplaceable. The Stoic philosophy of self-mastery reminds us that control over external circumstances is limited, but control over the way we meet each day is always within our reach. To live without intention is to squander that precious gift, to let the miracle of your life pass by unnoticed. Yet to live intentionally, to choose your actions, your words, your focus with care, is to offer your life back to the world as a form of gratitude, a quiet affirmation that you understand just how sacred it is to be here at all. When you approach each day with deliberate attention, the smallest actions take on profound meaning. A shared smile with a stranger becomes an offering of humanity. A few moments spent listening without judgment becomes an act of compassion. Choosing patience over irritation, honesty over convenience, courage over comfort, these decisions weave the fabric of a life lived awake. A life that does not slip quietly into the background of existence, but instead leaves behind a quiet, steady radiance. Intentional living does not mean rigid perfection or the pressure to perform. It means recognizing that every choice, no matter how small, is an opportunity to embody gratitude, to infuse even the simplest routines with presence and purpose. This way of being demands that you step out of autopilot. It calls you to ask, before each action, whether it aligns with the man you want to become, the legacy you want to leave behind. Are you living according to values shaped by resilience, wisdom, and gratitude, or are you merely reacting to the noise around you? Applying this question consistently transforms not only your days, but your entire sense of self. You begin to see that true success is not measured in possessions or accolades, but in how consistently you choose to live in a way that honors the miracle of your existence. In practical terms, this might mean starting your morning not by rushing into a flood of tasks, but by pausing in silence, feeling the breath in your lungs, remembering that this new day is an unrepeatable gift. It might mean setting aside time each evening to reflect, not with harsh self-criticism, but with honesty. Asking yourself where you lived with intention, and where you allowed fear or distraction to take the reins. It might mean choosing to simplify, to strip away what clutters your mind and drains your energy, so that you can give your fullest self to what truly matters. Relationships, meaningful work, acts of service, growth, and gratitude. The Stoics taught that life's value lies not in its length, but in its depth. A life lived consciously, no matter how brief, carries a power that a lifetime spent drifting can never match. Marcus Aurelius wrote not for the approval of others, but to remind himself daily to live according to virtue, to meet each moment with a spirit of gratitude and purpose. His meditations were not grand philosophical treatises. They were quiet affirmations, reminders to stay awake to the miracle of his own fleeting existence. You are called to the same discipline, not out of duty, but out of reverence for the chance to live at all. There will be days when you falter, when exhaustion, anger, or sadness pull you away from your best intentions. This is not failure, it is part of the human experience. Living intentionally does not require perfection. It requires persistence, the willingness to return again and again to the quiet commitment that your life matters, that your choices shape not only your future, but also the invisible legacy you leave in the lives you touch along the way. In the rush of daily life, it is easy to believe that meaning must be sought in grand adventures or extraordinary achievements. Yet when you live intentionally, you come to see that meaning is made in the very fabric of your ordinary days, in how you treat the barista at the coffee shop, in how you speak to your child after a long day, in whether you notice the softness of evening light or the miracle of another breath. You realize that living well is not something you must strive endlessly to reach. It is something you create, moment by moment, through conscious, grateful presence. Living intentionally is, at its core, an act of profound respect. Respect for your own life, for the lives of those around you, for the delicate and fleeting miracle of existence itself. It is the choice to say, through your actions rather than your words, that you recognize the extraordinary privilege it is to be here, now, with this heart beating in your chest, this chance to shape the world with your courage, your kindness, your resilience. And when you live this way, not perfectly but persistently, you honor the miracle you are, and you give the miracle of life back to the world in return. 8. Gratitude transforms ordinary days into sacred experiences. There is a quiet revolution waiting inside every day you live, a simple but profound shift that can turn even the most unremarkable moments into sacred experiences. That revolution begins with gratitude, not the fleeting politeness of saying thank you out of habit, but the deep, soul-rooted gratitude that opens your eyes to the miracle threaded through the simplest parts of your existence. When you live with this kind of awareness, life stops being something you race through and starts becoming something you inhabit fully. The ordinary transforms into the extraordinary, not because circumstances change, but because you finally see what was always there. In a world that constantly urges you to chase more success, more possessions, more validation, gratitude acts as a radical act of defiance. It breaks the trance of endless striving and roots you firmly in the now. Stoic philosophy about gratitude reminds us that happiness is not found by acquiring what we don't have, but by appreciating what we already do. When you cultivate gratitude, you stop measuring your worth by the next achievement and begin recognizing the quiet abundance that already fills your days. A warm meal, a safe place to sleep, a conversation with someone who cares. These are not small things. They are life's true treasures, too often overlooked in the rush toward something supposedly better. Gratitude transforms because it sharpens your vision. It allows you to see that every morning you wake up, every time your heart beats steadily in your chest is a sacred event. It helps you recognize that the way sunlight filters through a dusty window, the way laughter spills across a crowded room, the way rain taps against the roof during a lonely evening. All these moments are not filler. They are the fabric of a life fully lived. Without gratitude, you move through them blindly, missing their beauty. With gratitude, you see them as offerings, gifts that need no embellishment to be breathtaking. Applying this way of seeing to your daily life does not require dramatic changes. It begins with the smallest acts of attention. Drinking your morning coffee not as a rushed caffeine fix, but as a moment of quiet luxury, feeling the warmth seep into your hands. Taking a slow breath of crisp morning air before stepping into a busy day. Letting yourself linger over the smile of a loved one, knowing that in the vastness of time and space, sharing even a single moment of love is something close to miraculous. Gratitude doesn't demand that life be perfect. It asks only that you pay attention long enough to see the perfection already hiding in plain sight. When you live this way, something remarkable happens. Ordinary days begin to shimmer with a kind of quiet holiness. Small victories, finishing a day's work, mending a strained relationship, finding a few minutes of stillness, become moments worth honoring. Even difficulties lose some of their bitterness because gratitude teaches you to find meaning even in struggle. Challenges become opportunities to recognize resilience you might have missed. Loss becomes a reminder to cherish while you can. Pain, though never welcome, becomes a teacher that sharpens your appreciation for moments of peace. This transformation is not about denying reality or pretending hardships do not exist. It is about choosing where you place your focus. You acknowledge the difficulty, but you do not let it blind you to the wonder still alive around you. You understand, as Stoic thinkers did, that external events are often outside your control, but your response, the lens through which you view your life, is yours to shape. Gratitude strengthens emotional resilience by shifting your foundation from circumstances to appreciation, from instability to a steady sense of abundance that no external event can fully shake. Moreover, gratitude nourishes your relationships in a way nothing else can. When you truly see the miracle of another person choosing to share their life, their laughter, and their struggles with you, you treat them differently. You become slower to anger, quicker to forgive, and more generous with your attention. You realize that every conversation, every touch, every shared silence is a fleeting blessing, and you move through your relationships with more tenderness, more awe, more patience. Gratitude softens pride, quiets resentment, and builds bridges where once there were walls. Living with deep gratitude also clarifies your values. It becomes harder to waste your time on pursuits that drain your spirit when you recognize how precious your time really is. You find yourself more drawn to simplicity, to activities and people that nourish rather than deplete. You no longer need endless entertainment or constant novelty to feel alive. The depth of a single, fully inhabited moment is enough. You spend less time chasing and more time being present, being kind, being alive to the fleeting beauty of your ordinary, sacred life. There is no need to wait for a near-death experience, a major loss, or a dramatic turning point to wake up to this truth. You can choose it now, with a simple act of attention, a quiet whisper of thanks for the breath in your lungs and the ground beneath your feet. You can step into the sacredness of your days, not by changing everything about your life, but by changing the way you see your life. Gratitude is not a destination. It is a way of traveling through the fragile, astonishing landscape of your existence. In the end, gratitude is what binds the miracle of your life into something tangible, something unshakable, even as the world shifts and trembles. It is the anchor that keeps you rooted when storms come, the lens that reveals the beauty hidden in the ordinary. When you choose to live with gratitude, you do not just pass through your days, you sanctify them. You turn every sunrise, every meal, every embrace, every ordinary second into a quiet celebration of the miracle that you are still here, still breathing, still capable of wonder, still blessed beyond measure. As you move forward from today, carry with you this quiet, powerful truth. You are not here by chance. Your life, with all its imperfections, all its fragile beauty, is a rare and sacred miracle shaped by resilience, gratitude, and an unbroken chain of courage reaching back through the centuries. Every breath you take is a reminder that existence itself is precious beyond words, and that to live with intention, to meet each day with appreciation, is to honor not only yourself, but all those who made your life possible. In a world that often demands more, faster, louder, the real strength lies in slowing down, seeing clearly, and living deeply. Through the lens of Stoic philosophy, you reclaim the ability to protect your peace, to embrace life's fleeting moments, and to act with gratitude no matter the season you are in. Each choice you make, to forgive, to persevere, to give thanks, is a thread you weave into the larger tapestry of human resilience and hope. If today's reflection stirred something within you, I invite you to share your thoughts or your own moments of gratitude in the comments below. Your story matters. Your voice carries the quiet strength of generations, and by speaking it, you remind others that they, too, are living miracles.